guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be an unsolved mysteries video. I'm super excited about it. I love unsolved mysteries, kidnappings, all of that shit. Well, I mean, I don't love it, but like, I love learning about them. It's kind of sad, obviously. And these, I have two for you guys because they're kind of long and they're super fucking interesting. And you guys have been requesting Unsolved for a while, so let's get into it. I'm gonna save said the best one for last. We are still talking about like unsolved like kidnappings and stuff like that, so I mean, I'm gonna save the most interesting one for last, I guess, like the craziest one that I've probably ever read for last. So first we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Angela Hammond. On April 4th of 1991, a pregnant Angela Hammond was with her fiance Rob at her mother's house. They were having kind of a little family barbecue kind of moment. Angela and Rob lived in Clinton, Missouri. So after the family barbecue at around 9 p.m., they decided to head back to Clinton, Missouri, which is where this story takes place. They headed back at around 9 p.m. because Rob was actually going to his mother's house to babysit his younger brother, Justin. So while Rob was going over to babysit his younger brother, Angela was going to go hang out with her friend Kyla. Kyla and Angela headed to downtown to kind of pass some time while they were waiting for Rob to be finished babysitting. Around 11:15 p.m., Angela and Kyla actually parted ways for the night. They actually headed to the Food Barn store parking lot because there was a payphone there, and she didn't have a home phone, but she wanted to call Rob to let him know he was tired and she was gonna go home and take a bath. This payphone was located near the Food Barn store parking lot, and it was on the corner of 210 South 2nd Street. This is where things start to pick up in the story. I can't even imagine how terrifying this is for both Rob and Angela, but like I said, Angela was on the phone with Rob. She ended up talking to him for around 30 minutes before things started to happen, which I do kind of think is like a weird amount of time to talk to somebody on the phone if you're at a payphone. But maybe because she doesn't have a home phone, she's like, oh, like I'm gonna talk to him now. Maybe he's bored, like babysitting his younger brother. Maybe his little brother already went to bed, so he's just kind of chilling there. So I'm not sure, but I just think that's, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not that weird, but what do you guys think? Around 11:45 p.m., Angela and Rob were still on the phone. However, Angela alerted him that there was a weird man circling around the block several times in an older modeled green Ford 150 pickup truck. And this truck looks so creepy. Like they have done the like remodeled version of this, and it just is creepy as hell anyway. So I mean, sorry if you have that car, but like Angela said to Rob, this strange man was circling around her and the phone booths for a while in this car, and then he pulled over and actually went to the unoccupied phone booth next to Angela. As he was walking towards it, he actually then just turned around and walked back towards his car and grabbed a flashlight and started like waving it as if he was searching for something. And Rob heard Angela ask him, do you need to use the phone? Because maybe the other phone booth wasn't working or something like that. However, the strange man told her no, and then all of a sudden Rob heard a scream, like a terrifying scream, and he claims that it was Angela. I can't even imagine how terrifying obviously that is for Angela, but imagine being on the phone. Like that so freaks me out. Like, oh my god. And the story just gets even more fucking terrifying for Rob and Angela. So of course, Rob's natural instinct was to drop the phone that he was on and get in the car and rush over to the Food Barn store area. And on his way, which this is once again so fucking terrifying, but on his way to the Food Barn store, similar truck matching Angela's description with a man inside, a creepy man inside, and a woman who looked like she was struggling passed by. As the woman was struggling, Rob says that he could hear Angela saying Robbie, like screaming for help. I hate it. I hate it. That's so fucking scary. Imagine like going on this wild chase. You hear your girlfriend scream, you know where she is, she's at a payphone. You go straight to the payphone. On your way to the payphone, you see the car that she described being creepy as fuck. You see her being in the car and you see her screaming for your name. That is so sad and so terrifying, and it just even gets worse. Of course, Rob made a sharp U-turn and went to follow the car. He chased the car for about 2 miles, and then sadly his transmission malfunctioned when he was making a right turn, and the car just stopped, which sucks ass. Like, the car stopped, obviously the guy in the green truck and got away with Angela, and it just was all so terrifying. And I'm sure I don't know, I can't even imagine. Like, that's just as beyond. Rob ended up having no choice but to walk back to town. Luckily, he hitchhiked and got a ride back because, like I said, he was 2 miles out. And once he got to the police department, he described the story, and the police actually thought that he was lying and he was like the one who probably hurt Angela or did something to her. However, once the police started to do investigation, they did find his car undrivable exactly where he said it would be, and he was no longer a suspect. Not only that, but he also passed a polygraph test along with 2 other witnesses claiming to see the same car that Angela and Rob had described. So, like I said, because this is unsolved, this case is unsolved, and there's pretty much, like, there have been little suspects here and there, but there's nothing that came from this case. This happened in 1991. It's so scary. It's so sad. I feel so bad for Rob. I feel bad for Angela. Who knows what could have happened to her. Not only that, but she was pregnant. So obviously, you know, if something happened to her, there wouldn't be a baby. But like theoretically, what if the person just kidnapped her and like she's somewhere out there? Then that means a baby is also somewhere out there, probably being raised with the kidnapper and Angela. And it just is so fucking sad. I can't believe it's unsolved, and a lot of people also can't believe it's unsolved because apparently Clinton, Missouri is a rather small town, and it's just weird for there to not be any suspect. That one really got me because like the whole story is just so action-packed and insane. They even did like a recreation of the kidnapping just because it's so interesting the way that it went down. It's obviously terribly sad, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that she could be out there alive somewhere? I mean, theoretically, she obviously could be, and just, it's so sad. It's so sad. Imagine being like pregnant, so happy to start like a life, and then just literally being kidnapped at a payphone. I don't know. It's crazy. Because you don't think that adults get kidnapped, but they do. And I don't like that. Either way, this case remains unsolved. The next case that we're going to be talking about is fucking-sane. Like literally this case is so crazy, and it is all about the kidnapping of Paul Fronczak. So on April 26, 1964, Dora and Chester Fronczak welcomed their little baby Paul Joseph Fronczak into the world at Michael Reese Hospital in Chicago. On April 27th, the next day, 1964, a woman disguised as a nurse walked into Dora Fronczak's room and told her that the baby needed to be examined by the doctor. So of course she naturally was like, okay, here you go, gave her the baby, and then sadly she would never see her baby again. Like I said, this woman kidnapped a day-old baby, which is so sad and so terrifying. This broke news everywhere. This was such a huge story. Everybody was trying to find this Franz Act baby. Pictures of this baby were all over the place, all over newspapers and articles and all of that stuff, and everyone in Chicago, police were going door to door to find this Franz Act baby or the nurse. Because Dora saw the nurse, she knows what she looked like. Which is also really sad because then for the rest of her life, she's gonna have that image of this woman who stole her child imprinted on her. And that just sucks. So like I said, the Franz Act baby was all over the place, and his ears were pretty specific. So I guess that's kind of important to note. But 2.5 years later, a boy in a stroller was abandoned outside of a store in Newark, New Jersey. FBI agents actually identified him by his ears and was like, this could be the Franz Act baby, but they weren't obviously sure yet because they hadn't done a DNA test or anything like that. So they put him up for adoption because that's what you do when you find a baby that you can't find the parents of. Fronczak actually, as soon as they saw the baby, they were like, this is our child. This is Paul Fronczak, 100%. The mother just really felt like this was their child. So they actually adopted the baby without even doing any DNA tests to see if it's actually theirs. So like I said, they raised this child as Paul Joseph Fronczak like nothing ever happened. The kid found out later what had actually happened to him, and he always kind of wondered if he really was truly the Fronczak baby or not, because there was really no way to tell except for DNA tests. Now this guy is grown up, he has kids of his own, and in 2012 he actually decided at the age of 49 to take a DNA test. So the DNA test results were conclusive that it was absolutely impossible for this child to be the Fronczak baby, which is so sad for the parents, of course, but also like it just opens so many questions. Like, who is this child? Who is the Fronczak baby? Is the Fronczak baby still alive somewhere? They probably have no idea that they're even, you know, an adopted child or a stolen child, obviously, but it just is so bizarre to me that they like have no idea. And the plot literally fucking thickens. You would think it wouldn't, but it does, because obviously this guy wants to find out, does he have any relatives that are alive? Who is he? Like, that's so weird. Like, imagine finding out that you're not who you thought you were. So Paul Fronczak has actually done a lot of DNA tests with the help of a lot of companies like 23andMe, Ancestry.com, all of these things, who were determined to find if he had any alive blood relatives. Because a lot of people were quite hopeful, because obviously those DNA things can lead you to second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins, and then you can trace back the family tree from there. So he actually found out through one of these DNA companies that he had a cousin, a second cousin named Alan Fish. He was planning on meeting this guy, and he was gonna meet him in New York City when Alan got really, really sick and all of a sudden was in the hospital, and he literally died. One cousin that you think you have alive just dies. It just is bizarre. But furthermore, a bunch of genealogists pitched in to help with this case, because they all, I'm sure, thought it was so interesting, and obviously it's their field, and they really, really thought that they could find this kid's family. I mean, he's old now, but you know. So in 2015, a team of researchers and genealogists made a discovery, and they actually found Paul's real parents, and they found out that Paul had a twin sister somewhere named Jill, and his real name was Jack, which is like the most unoriginal names for twins. You really named your twins Jack and Jill. I'm honestly concerned, and it's fine. I'm not like, I would not usually come at their parents, but he actually found out that his parents were really abusive, and he actually also had an older sister and a younger brother that he ended up talking to because they were still alive, which is weird because none of them remember the twins. However, his biological grandmother had like a scrapbook kind of moment, and every page where the twins were supposed to be were ripped out, and it's like their birth certificates were there, so it's proven that they're actually, you know, a part of that family. It just is bizarre because nobody knows what happened to Jill. From putting the pieces together, he realized that what had happened was the parents claimed to the rest of the family that they had actually given up the twins for adoption because they were too hard to handle at that point of time of their life, and everybody else was kind of just like, okay, like, I don't know. It was just like very fuzzy as to what actually happened. And obviously that didn't happen because Paul, aka Jack, was literally found in a stroller outside of, like, in Newark, like just outside of a store. So that's just like so bizarre that that was the story, and like it's bizarre that the family also believed it. It's just is really, really confusing overall. Not only that, but what the hell happened to Jill? Because Jill was not at the store at the time, so what happened to her? Paul himself actually has a theory. Because his parents were abusive, he believes that Jill was actually murdered or killed on accident. And because the parents couldn't explain only having one twin, they decided to bury Jill somewhere or something like that. And then parents can't explain only having one twin and not two. They decided to put them up for adoption, but really that meant just leaving Paul somewhere in Newark, and it just is so fucking sad and so bizarre. I'm just happy that this guy was able to find out who he really is, even though it's obviously such a weird case. It sucks because his parents who raised him, and like, where is Jill? Maybe she's not dead. Maybe like they left her somewhere else. Like, who really knows is like the real question, is that we don't actually know for sure that she's dead, and I think that just is really heartbreaking and really sad. And not only that, but Paul has dedicated a lot of time to help find the real Paul Fronczak, the real Franz Act Baby. He truly, truly thinks that this baby is out there. I do too, but I'm assuming you steal a newborn baby to give to a family that can't have a baby or something like that, some corrupt kind of like adoption. But what do you guys think about these cases? I think they're super interesting, but let me know what you think in the comments below. That is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram because I'm always posting really dope ass shit on there. Subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you guys later. Bye!
Just drain away, and now my mind is